Germany used to look like this, a place so beautiful that poets wrote about it, a place where lovers met, fell in love, and built their lives together. But now it looks like this, and this, and this. Gangs that Germany never knew before, and beliefs Germany never believed in.
Germany is collapsing under its own weight.
A Muslim cleric from a German mosque who urged his followers to kill as many people.
They say that if they cannot take care of themselves, how are they supposed to take care of refugees?
I can't imagine ever living in Germany again.
Boy, man, it feels like I've just stepped into, Turkey or somewhere.
Welcome to Sleuthing Scams, and today we're talking about why Germany is turning right-wing. Again. But before we begin, these videos take a lot of time, effort, and research to make, so if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We've also added our Patreon link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel and help us continue making videos like this, consider becoming a patron. August 2015, Germany under Angela Merkel suspended the Dublin rules. At the time, it seemed like a practical decision, but in hindsight, many argue it became one of the most consequential moments in modern German history. Under the Dublin regulation, asylum seekers were required to apply for protection in the first EU country they entered. But Germany's policy shifted. Merkel's government also allowed Syrian refugees to apply in Germany, even if they had already passed through other European countries. It marked a major turning point in Germany's migration policy and the beginning of a wave of arrivals that would deeply reshape the country's political and social landscape. And the numbers rose even further the following year. But why did Merkel decide to do it? There's other side to this as well. The first and most important reason is the debt break clause embedded in Germany's constitution, a rule that caps new government borrowing at just 0.35% of GDP. And that's why, compared to most other developed countries, Germany's borrowing limits are exceptionally strict. So instead of boosting productivity, Germany chose a different path, expanding the size of its economy by bringing in more people. The country's overall GDP did grow as a result. But when that growth was divided among the population, GDP per capita barely moved. In other words, the economy looked bigger on paper, while living standards saw little improvement in reality. And that's not the only reason Merkel took this step. Another major factor was Germany's demographic crisis. For years, the country has faced a steadily shrinking workforce. According to various estimates, Germany's working-age population declines by roughly 300,000 to 400,000 people every year. Without enough young workers to replace those retiring, policymakers feared that economic growth and the country's welfare system would come under increasing pressure. Germany's birth rate in 2023 was recorded at just 1.3 children per woman. So for many policymakers, immigration appeared to be the most practical way to offset the country's declining working-age population. But for many Germans, the reality has not matched the expectations. Policymakers believed that large-scale immigration would be balanced by integration into society. But the truth is they've not only failed to integrate, but they're not even bothering to try. The immigrants are responsible for 34% of the crimes committed in Germany. And while immigrants continue to arrive, many of Germany's highly skilled workers are choosing to leave. And why shouldn't they? On average, Germans give away nearly half of their income in taxes and social contributions. And you also have to keep in mind that wages have barely grown over the past decade. And on top of all that, there is a wave of layoffs in every industry in Germany. And also, Germany has the weakest economic growth record among the G7 nations. Germany spends more on healthcare than any other country in the EU, yet despite this the system is struggling under growing demand and structural pressures. And on average, patients have to wait around 42 days to see a specialist. And then the government has also failed to solve the housing crisis. Germany is second last in home ownership in the entire Europe. So, imagine seeing all of this happening in the country. And despite all that, it is accepting thousands of people who are not ready to understand and maintain the values of the German culture. And that frustration is increasingly reflected in politics. Germany, once seen as a stronghold of liberal and centrist values, is now witnessing a clear shift to the right, with parties like Alternative for Germany gaining more support in recent years. And that is why Germany, once considered one of the most pro-immigration countries, is now moving in the opposite direction. And that is why Germans are protesting for their taxes not to be spent on people who aren't even trying to integrate and contribute in the German society. And that is why German culture all of a sudden has become stiff, and it has become almost impossible to make friends. And this is where Germany finds itself today, divided between its past identity and its uncertain future. The frustration around immigration, economics, and public services is no longer just a social issue. It has become a political force. It is the exact kind of environment where right-wing parties like Alternative for Germany are gaining momentum, fueled by promises of stricter borders, tighter policies, and a return to control. But what often gets overlooked is what comes along with that shift. These movements don't just focus on immigration, they also bring broader conservative positions on issues like abortion rights, LGBTQ freedoms, and civil liberties. Areas that modern Germany has spent decades building its identity around. And once a political shift starts expanding beyond a single issue, it rarely stays contained. It begins to influence courts, institutions, and the broader direction of national policy. Over time, that changes not just what parties gain power, but what policies define the country itself. So, the real question isn't just why Germany is moving right. It's what kind of Germany people are willing to accept in exchange for change. Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to click the bell icon.